Hello, and welcome to another podcast of Friends of Terry Virgil. I'm Terry Virgil, your host. Today's episode is Obama says he hates the United States of America. Let's put it in a very unique way. Yes, today he's going to give his famous last State of the Union address and talk about his accomplishments. That should be less than 1 second long because he has no accomplishments at all. Sorry about that, folks, but every once in a while you get a little technical difficulty. And yes, I'm going to repeat what I said. Today's episode is Obama says he hates the United States of America. And yes, this is his last farewell address that the liberals like to say. But in all reality, it is not the last that we're going to hear of Obama because there's one thing, though. He's in charge of the TPA. And seeing that he's in charge of the TPA, that means that all liberals and Democrats will be bound down to him from China. Of course, China is communist. North Korea will probably bow down to him, and all the other communist countries in Asia, and bow down to him as a leader. Well, we know that he is a moron. And if you listen to his speech tonight, you'll see that it should only take less than 1 second for his accomplishments. Because only a bozo would understand the fact that his accomplishments have done more harm than any bullet that we've sent over, or any bomb that we sent over to the Middle East here in the United States of America. If you believe what Obama says, then you are a moron, you are a liberal, Democrat, communist, or even a socialist. To understand one fact and one truth, you have, of course, the socialists would not belong to the liberals and Democrats. Bernie Sanders should know that. Of course, he's a moron anyways. But anyways, let's put it this way. We know that Obama is a Muslim. He's probably in his back of his mind saying, yay, that the Muslims decided to attack some place in Turkey, which is part of a Muslim country anyways, one that you can't trust. It's just like Iran, you can't trust it to do the right thing. And if you notice that the attacker was from Syria, in other words, just like every Muslim that there is that belongs in Syria came from ISIS. ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, is the other proof that we shouldn't allow refugees in the United States of America. So that your head can be lopped off or beheaded. Or have you burned alive in a cage. Or drowned in the sea. Because you're against the cult group called Muslims, or the Islamic State, which is a cult group. It's just a cult group. They don't believe in anything that's good. They believe in doing evil and harming people and going at people with knives, whatever they could do to disrupt your life. And believe it or not, it's called being forced into believing their way, which means that if you are a liberal like Obama is, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, and O'Malley, and the rest of the Democrats, they say, okay, we'll force you to believe our way. Well, in truth, It's fine and dandy to try and force everybody into believing the same way as they do. That's the way Democrats are. That's the way all liberals are. Communists are especially that way. Look at their history. Socialists, the same thing. Because if you look at their history as well, starting with Adolf Hitler, you were forced to believe the way that Adolf Hitler did. Yes, it all started with an imaginary race of people called the Aryan race. Well, I would hate to say it, but when you look at what the Muslims are doing, are no different. Obama is doing it the same way. Look at Obamacare and how much it's destroyed the United States of America. It took people that were in poverty that actually had something better than Obamacare and turned it into something worse, where people have got to pay, are forced to pay, not just, I predicted 3 times more than when I first started this in 2009 for premiums. I thought it was going to go 3 times. Now it's 10 times the amount. In other words, a person in poverty has got to make one choice if they want Obamacare. Starve to death. That's your only choice. Matter of fact, Obama likes to end poverty by having you starve to death. Or be homeless and freeze to death out in the cold. I know that there are those that say the Republicans aren't not helping or doing anything else. Well, I'm going to say this much. I've been viewing a lot of different stuff. And I'm going to have to agree with the Republicans aren't really doing anything. They have a big F as their report card. The Democrats and liberals are worse than the F, and the F means failed. If you listen to Obama's farewell address or State of the Union address, his accomplishments are going to be 0. He has no accomplishments. He may claim that he has accomplishments, but in reality, he has given the enemies to the United States of America weapons of mass destruction. He gave the green light for Iran to build a nuclear weapon after he's gone. Of course, the coward will probably go to some other country so that he could hide and say, well, I didn't give them permission to do that. Once more, you can see how much Obama hates America. Of course, we know every Muslim hates America. We know that communists hate America because communists hate capitalism. Here's the funny thing of it is, this is the weirdest part of capitalism that I have ever seen, or actually communism. They're allowing the Chinese to have and play around with something called the stock market. But the problem is, the communist Chinese control everything so they can shut everything down. What they're saying is, we're going to have a falsified economy so that we can bring the value of the dollar down so that we can take over the United States of America. That's exactly what it means. Yes, they blame it on the falling price of oil. You know what I got to say? I hope oil goes all the way down to $1 a barrel. Bring in competition. We got to use that oil. Because I would love to see it when I fill up my Jeep. I'd love to see the price of oil less than 5 cents a gallon. I'd love to see people driving around in vehicles that are V8s and burn gas. Sounds like I'm not in favor of a clean environment. Well, you're far from wrong. Yes, I do believe in things like solar power and wind power, but I also believe in economic value and what economic value can mean to America. That's why I say I'd like to see this. That way people could spend money at the pump and buy these gasoline vehicles, the vehicles that use gasoline to power. That way we could even use the natural gas to power our electricity a lot cheaper than solar and wind. That way we could take some of these stupid, idiotic restrictions away and have it cheaper for your homes. So you can heat your home in the winter time. Or heat your food so that you can eat that nice, delicious steak and hamburger. Yes, I said it right, steak and hamburger. Instead of eating this stupid stuff called turkey burgers or something else like that. People, the liberals are done. Every liberal, every Democrat, every communist, every socialist are just like Obama. They hate the United States of America. Each and every one of them. And I'm going to also include those Republicans that always decide to say, well, I'm going to vote the way the Democrats do and the liberals do so that we can make peace and have bipartisan laws. The only smart thing about a bipartisan law, if it's a law that comes from the conservatives and the Democrats and the liberals agree with it. There is no more saying that we got to have things like Obamacare, which is, by the way, which comes from the communist point of view. There is no reason why we need to have something called clean climate control, which is sponsored by the UN, which is all made up of all liberals and communists. We don't need things like megacities, which force people to move from private homes and private ownership of property. That's what it means to take that stuff away. That's what Agenda 21 was all about. And if you notice that you had the head banana, the head moron by the name of Obama, who happens to be a Muslim just like everybody on that board or Security Council is all about. A one world government. Obama likes that idea. He promoted it. That's what the TPA is all about. It's just a branch of a one world government. A kingdom for a moron, in other words. You that are listening to this program and listen to it, don't do enough. You should be doing things like coming up with programs as such and doing something about getting rid of tyrants, imbeciles like Obama. Yes, he's saying that he doesn't want to run for president in 2016 actually to get reelected so that he could take over 2017. But I'll tell you the truth. To be the head of the TPA, a world government, I think you would say this much. The United States of America